the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022 Valspar Championship. A little bit delayed by a day, but that's okay. We got an extra Monday of golf to consume and talk about on the show. It's the picks, it's the bets, it's the one and done. We got it all here for you. Hit the time codes if you want to jump to a certain section. Reminder to smash the like button to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, rate and review the audio podcast. While you're at it, I hope you had a good week at the Players. I know that people were tilting their face off. And if you want more of the research on Valspar and the course, check out Mayo Media Network and the Pat Mayo Experience audio pod, because I did the research show all the way back on Sunday. Yes, that's been up for a few days, so you can go check that out right now. Weirdly, not as much has changed as I figured it would have with the massive delays at the Players' Championship. There is no Listeners League this week, just the extra day. DraftKings had a lot of strain on it, so I said, you know what? We'll take a look forward to the match play next week and see how that goes. I think that's going to come out on a Tuesday as well, because Jeff and I were speaking before the show, and Jeff, we can't remember when they release the brackets every year. I always think it's Sunday night. And I think you're right that it's Monday night.
Yeah, I'm forgetting as well. But now that we've talked through it, I believe it's Monday night.
Okay. Monday night. Maybe we do a live show. Maybe we do it Tuesday morning. I guess we'll figure that all out. Need to come up with some sort of Sunday and Monday show for the Pat Mayo Experience as well. Got to wrap my mind around that. Fortunately, there's a lot of football to talk about. Maybe I get to that later in this week as well. So tomorrow there's no live chat. That will be the DraftKings Pick Show in its place, because everything gets bumped today. And then football on Thursday. I'll have Oscar's picks next week as well. Oscar picks, Oscar bets. It's always a fun time of year. But let's talk about the Players' Championship. Did you know, Jeffrey, it's tough to beat anyone when they can't miss a putt on, I guess, Monday. But for an entire round, you're going to one putt every green except for one of them. Feel like that's going to be enough to win the tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've made the joke many times, I feel, in the last year and a half, 2 years, but Cameron Smith is as Spiethian, it feels like, as any player, we've seen sort of since Jordan Spieth. It just feels like I didn't bet him, and I think I made I wouldn't say derogatory comment. It was like, and I a guy right beside him, a burger at 35-1 per se, to win, got, bad drawed. But I was like, I don't know. I don't like betting guys that I'm counting on the magic of it. But when it happens, it's so magical and amazing. Like, there's no situation where you're like, uh-oh, I'm screwed. Because, he gets up and down from everywhere, even when the drive goes sideways. If he gets into trouble around the greens, he's going to put that, he's going to put that approach for par within 5 feet. And I'm not even talking about the 18th hole. Like, that's sort of at us. Like, I don't even thinking about that at the moment when recapping it. But, he's magical. He's probably even a better, 6-foot putter than Jordan Spieth is also. Doesn't have the majors. I'm just saying the game comparisons. And we've made jokes along the way, Pat, to players who are like 100-1, or like, oh, he's Spiethian, like in how he can win or he has won. But this is like actual like Spiethian on a more like real level, like ceiling level, if that makes any sense. Not actual Spieth ceiling, but you know what I'm trying to say, I think. World ranking level.
Well, he's inside the top 10 now. No, I'm completely with you. And it was just stunning to see how poorly he drove the ball especially in the final round, but all 4 rounds, and he was still able to make everything happen. I mean, when we talked about, hey, what is this course? It's a second shot course. You need to make your putts. You need to be good to go. And that's where he excelled. He gained over 2 strokes in the final round on approach, over 4 strokes on the greens. And in order to break out of that pack, I think there was like 17 guys within 3 strokes of the lead. My poor Sam Burns, man. Poor Sam Burns got I feel like he suffered so Cam Smith could excel, because it was there for Burns and just he had nothing to offer in the final round. I was really surprised by that.
I was quite surprised by that as well. Someone who didn't have anything on Sam Burns. I might have picked him, once we were starting that final round, to be honest, like who would win at this moment. So, he makes all those clutch par saves. And when it did start to implode, and it imploded quickly, sort of left our TV after a couple holes on Sunday, despite being caught in the bush, when you were watching Cam Smith or something. Looking back, it did seem like he walked a fine line to get there as well. So maybe I shouldn't be too surprised. The driving was abandoned him for a lot of it outside of a clutch moment here or there. But sure, of course, I was quite surprised by what happened. And I want to say I lost the Louis versus Dustin tournament head-to-head yesterday, Pat.
Say that again, sorry?
I lost the Louis versus Dustin tournament head-to-head yesterday.
That's probably one of the worst beats I can remember since I had Morikawa over Hideki at the Sony Open, and I think it was like a 12-shot spread at one point, and Morikawa 3-putted the 72nd hole to lose to Hideki. This was like 2.5 years ago, but that's always going to stick out in my mind as one of like the worst beats I've ever taken. That's a horrible beat though, Dustin coming back and chipping in for eagle on the very last hole to get there.
I don't even think that mattered to beat Louis.
Oh, well, I didn't even see what Louis finished. I saw he was out of the running very early, and I stopped paying attention to what he was up to.
Oh, I kept getting worse, to be honest.
Yikes. Well, that's never good news. Did you put much, like when you were making your bets or doing whatever it was, playing your head-to-heads, did you factor in the draw all that much? Because I got the wrong side of it. I thought it was going to be PM/AM. I was completely wrong about that. That was bad news on my part. It didn't really affect my DraftKings, though, because the 6 of 6 percentage was so low that you could win some decent money in these smaller contests with 5 of 6. I even cashed all my entries in the PME Open, and none of them were 6 of 6. So, and they all had Morikawa on it, and that was really, if I had just used Hovland instead of Morikawa, I was going to use Morikawa either way. But did you factor in that too much?
Definitely not into bets, because I like making my bets. I like coming on here talking about the bets. I post content with bets. I'm, in some ways obligated to make those bets. So no, and didn't it sort of play out like, yes, we spoke about all the ways it could play out, but we spoke about this last week. You see the bad weather, and you make this assumption that they're even going to play in it when it gets really bad. A couple delays change everything. Lift, clean, and place at other times. Whatever you think's going to happen sometimes completely doesn't. I didn't get nearly as screwed as some other people. It's more so things like Billy Horschel's withdrawal that got me,
If it was you, I mean, Luke List looked like the smartest man alive after he withdrew after Thursday. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I know how this is going to turn out, and I'm just out of Dodge. I'm just going to pretend like I'm hurt. I'm going to take a smooth sailing onto Valero or where the hell it is he's going to play next to get ready for the Masters. I don't begrudge anyone if you're out of it. Like Stenson had one hole to go, and it screws over like DraftKings people or especially DraftKings people, because your entire round gets negated if you withdraw mid-round. But like Stenson had one hole to go. He's like, I don't really want to wake up early and come out and finish this. I'm 8 shots off the cut line. No thanks.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And we're in that time of year, Pat, where you could if you've qualified for the Masters, you could withdraw from anything and just cite, I need to be healthy for the Masters. And you have essentially like as many get out of jail cards as you want this time of year. So none of that surprised me. The tour in a few spots this week showed, and I'm not blaming the tour, but how do I put this? They're just here to take like the DFS money and the gambling money. They're not here to change anything they do other than some slight mentions here or there. You should be thankful for the junior associate who probably let them know in the booth there's a cut line to follow.
Oh my God.
As Piercy and Malnati are going at it. Azinger put on one of his absolutely worst performances of the year. I get maybe the days were long, but I can't even imagine. He'd be the worst. He's the worst commentator in pro sports by far.
Not all of that is on him, though. because there are production people who are feeding him information, telling him what to talk about at a lot of these times, like during the break.
I'm not even saying he's the worst because the cut stuff. I'm saying he's the worst because he's the worst. And when you think he can't get worse, he does get worse.
What was your favorite Azinger-ism of the weekend then?
You know, I feel like LeBron, who like is sitting there with like the first page of a book and saying like he read the book. I don't know. They're countless. As guys are over these like 4-foot putts, everything that is easy is a bad shot. Everything that's difficult, like the guys hit great shots. There's just so many misrepresentations about the players and why they're playing well or why they're playing bad. When the answers at this point in the game, Pat, like it's not hard to get the answers as to why a guy is playing bad or why he's played bad this year and what is different this week. You can literally just stare at his fantasy national and talk about the green and talk about the red, but they make it up.
It would be so easy to have something like that. Just have Fantasy National in front of you. It would make him seem a million times smarter, for one thing. Not so much that he would get everything right. It's just that he would cease to get basically everything wrong that he talks about, which, I don't know. I guess does no one care? Is that really the thing behind it? Like, yeah, a few of us on the internet get mad, but that is not really representative whatsoever of the golf viewing community.
They don't care. And we'll get into something else. But even our buddy Ben over the pond pointed out this week, like how infuriating it was. Like, they're not perfect at Sky Sports. They probably see more shots, but Fleetwood's playing well. And they're essentially talking early in the tournament, like, oh, his problem, it's just been a few putts here, a few putts there. And it's like, no, his problem has been his driver is a disaster. Like, that is his problem. Of course, every golfer, it's the easiest, a few putts here, a few putts there. Of course, you finish a Sunday and 3 putts is worth the difference between 18th and like 48th. You know, if you hit 3 more putts. So, you know, it's insane. And I'll tell you what, Kara, I like her at Golf Champ. She's obsessed with Tommy Fleetwood.
Who is
As a Tommy Fleetwood fan, this is a nice thing. But they like spend so much time tracking him, even as he's out of contention on that like Sunday morning Golf Central. Like, so that was, I guess, nice in that respect, but it's weird. It's weird how much play he's getting. Note to self in the player's book, Tommy Fleetwood, I think it's the second time, Pat, in like 3 years, he's been the first round leader at the players too, by the way.
So pencil that in just like you pencil in Keegan Bradley for the first round leader at the tournament this week, the genesis of going full Keegan.
That nice to see Keegan going. See, that's not in my notes, but it's good to know it's in other people's notes, the genesis of full Keegan. Also, that gold man, like the same thing from my house league, like hockey trophy. The trophy's not even nicer than the crystal. It's not even, it's an ugly trophy. It's an ugly trophy. They took a really nice, classy trophy and made it look like your generic trophy from House League as a kid. That's just my opinion on it. Let alone turning it into human form. My head starts spinning. Not in like the ways other people's are. Like, I just want to see a Pendrith shot instead of this. Like, I get that part. Like, and there's a lot of us out there, or name any player. But my head is like how this comes to be, Pat. Because we know like the challenges in the uphill climb and the like 54 meetings it would take to execute something that you would like, that I would like, that I think the viewers of the show would like, that the people in our sort of niche community on the internet would like and love. But I see like this thing gets like greenlit in like 2 meetings and they think they're freaking geniuses.
I can tell you that I do a video for PGA Tour every single week. and I generally film it on Monday afternoon. And then it needs to go through like 8 meetings of approval for this 2-minute video that is sponsored by DraftKings in order to release on social media. And it doesn't come out until like Wednesday at 9 p.m. or something insane like that. Like, it takes a legitimate 2 days for it to get full approval, in case I might like slip up and say something that's, you know, a little bit off the cuff. Like, I've tried to make that video as generic as possible at this point, because I just don't want to be hassled for like reshoots or anything.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. I didn't despise it. I didn't think it was the end of the world. I didn't think it was something that was like totally needed either. I thought it was cute when we got to watch Tiger watch it. But yeah, like my whole thought process goes to how smart they are and how quickly this thing got greenlit into action, and how hard it is to make actual relevant things like happen on the broadcast, what it would take. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts. The tournament will be memorable, but you know, it lost its integrity a few times, and those are frustrating.
But hold on a second. How come?
No, how come
this tournament loses its integrity when one side of the draw gets completely wiped out? I mean, yes, that was completely unfair. But if this was the Open Championship, it's like, well, got to deal with it. Like, what?
No,
why is that
don't
different?
Like listen, it's not. I don't like when that happens either. I just remember Pebble Beach, the U.S. Like when a tournament plays like equal through the whole thing, I like that. Like, I like it. Waves, no biases, major tournament. This one was so drastic that there's an integrity loss, and I think people say the same thing at times when that happens at the Open Championship. It's part of the fabric of the Open Championship. This one, when it happens, people probably more likely to complain about the time of the year and that switch. But I just, forgetting betting, like, I don't like when the tournaments lose their integrity in some way. And that, I mean, it's still a great tournament. There are guys from that other side who came back. It seemed like the guys that were started on 10 in the third round had some advantage in some way. At least a handful of them made some real barnstorming scores. And I don't like when it happens in the Open either, I guess I would say. I don't like when huge tournaments or any tournament loses its integrity. But that's all part of it. From the gambling perspective, in-game variance remains undefeated. For how it broke, I thought I had a lot of guys in good position, and they ended up sucking when it mattered as well. So, but, it's just a reminder, in-game variance remains undefeated. In many respects, we're still, how do I put this? We already bet golf with like 800 gazillion variables. And those are just when the biggest ones go, that's just tournament loses its integrity a little.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not saying that I enjoy that the tournament lost its integrity. I'm just saying you have to fucking deal with it, because
of course.
Well, would you prefer they just cancel the tournament? Is that what everyone wanted?
It's no different.
Because that's what it seemed to me. Just like, well, this is unfair to me. They shouldn't play golf anymore. That's
bullshit. No different than Shane Lowry getting tsunamied on trying to play the last hole of a tournament where, had pretty consistent 71 hole weather for them. That the golf is outdoors. They're playing in those windows. It's pretty specific that they're not gonna, if it's playable, like, wind isn't really we're gonna shut it down unless it's super crazy situation. And they had to play the windows that they had to play. That's just part of an outdoor sport. That is what it is. I found some of the complaining about it and how it affected like my lineup, because I made a, you don't want to say gamble, but a hyper educated guess on what was going to happen here. And it went against you. And that's just part of playing the games of skill and chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it too is that you were trying to seize an opportunity that you think was going to maximize your advantage. I guessed wrong, but the advantage was there. It was just the opposite way. So if you had done it the opposite way, I'm guessing you probably came out pretty good.
Yeah. And there's a provision. I didn't even see this because I got caught arguing with a buddy saying, like, that can't be. And he showed me a bylaw that says the Players' Championship is literally the only tournament that they would consider or allow a Wednesday finish for.
Yeah, they want to make sure the PGA has a very high investment on making sure that the Players' Championship gets finished. After the one time, I was telling Tim about that too, because he's like, well, if they don't finish on Monday, they can't finish. I was like, no. They have the ability to go into like Tuesday, go into Wednesday. And I was like, they don't want to cancel this term. He's like, well, they canceled it in 2020, or does that not matter anymore? It's like,
yeah, Tim, I love Tim bringing out a world-wide pandemic on that one. Yeah, they don't cancel, and it got concerning, right? Because it's a time of year, and you saw how stacked this field is that we're going to talk about here, and maybe there's been more withdrawals since we started talking, but match play next week is like for the guys that plan on winning or do win, like it's a lot of golf. So if you do the Players Valspar and you want to make a run at match play, like which starts on a Wednesday as well, it's just like a very tight compressed run of golf, and then you'll obviously take that week off before the Masters. But all those guys that you're staring at the very top of the board, those 4 names under 20 that we'll get to talk about, they're all clearly going to match play too. So it's going to be a long little run, and some of them were at Bay Hill.
For sure. And we'll get into the fatigue factor once we start talking about the odds. Few other things from the players. Cam Smith on 17 hits the shot he wasn't meaning to hit, but it turned out to be the winning shot of the tournament, sticking it to 4 feet on 17. I mean, he put himself into a good position to miss. Aim at the center of the green. If it leaks right just a little bit, as long as your distance is right, it's going to end up being a great shot. Lahiri went after it, too, and ended up making that putt. Huge week for Lahiri. I was disappointed because Raza had a really good chance to win the $1 million in the 2,222 tournament. I don't know what he ended up finishing, but Rahm and Munoz not playing very well on Sunday or on the final round on Monday evening kind of sunk his chances. But I was like, man, what a week not to have Lahiri in one of these things. How come every time that we bet Lahiri, use Lahiri, he comes like dead last, and now no one uses him, he comes second at the Players?
I was rooting for him once I was drawing dead. That would have been nice and different and totally unexpected. I've mentioned Lahiri as we get to like the part of the board where we need to just wrap up the show, and I'm just naming names. I can't really remember the last time I consciously thought about wagering on him.
Yeah, I was
comments after. He's like, I've been exhausted. Like, I'm exhausted right now. And it's been a bad, 2 years. So the sense of relief he must be feeling today is fantastic. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, well, it's huge. He won over $2 million. I don't think anyone used him in the one and done, so I think we're pretty good on that front from people catching up to others. Cam Smith wasn't super popular either, but I lost 50 spots in the big one, so enough people used Cam Smith to get through because my Rory didn't end up being very good in the one and done. But Cam Smith on the 72nd hole. I know he wasn't trying to put it in the water on that punch out through the trees, but you have to think that he assessed it like, hey, if I do put it in the water, I know I can get it up and down from here, right? Like that has to be playing on his mind.
I really thought that was a crazy move. Like once you're in that position and you took driver off the tee, which could have been debated as well. Like,
but what else is he going to hit? Honestly.
Well, there's that wider part of the fairway that a lot of the shorter hitters were using 3-wood to catch because it's a little wider, shorter. That's all I'll say. But once he got that position in the woods, I thought he would have just tried to play it just to get out of jail, 35 yards. Like he could have gone forward a little. Like he tried to get a lot out of the recovery shot, which brought that into play, I guess. And there's very few players who I think would have made that. Like I think JT would have stuck that up and down. I think he did that to me in Hawaii when I had a Patrick Reed outright at the Tournament of Champions.
He did.
But yeah, I don't know. You saw him go in the wall, you saw him dropping, we're all like, he's going to stick it to, just going to stick this. It would have been fun to watch him have to putt an 8-footer. I mean, some people would have felt it's auto. And also incredible in same way he recovered on 18, Pat, you could call that like a microcosm of the round because it was over. I mean, everyone was like, off. I'm going to go walk the dog. I'm going to go play with the kids. I'm going to go take a nap. I don't know. Like, and then within 6 minutes, the freaking thing flipped and it was crazy. And then in the end, you think it's over again. And then you get that moment. So love golf. So much fun. Yeah, that's all. And we're right back at it. No rest for the wicked.
I don't want to say it was the worst break of the tournament because obviously half the field had to play in a monsoon in hurricane conditions and couldn't get the ball to land on 17 and took themselves out of the tournament. But I can't recall anything worse than what happened to Casey on 16. Having the rules of golf are so weird.
It's not low
at this point. Like Zach Johnson can hit his ball on a practice shot and it not count. Like that's like the Zach Johnson rule at this point because he continuously does it. But your ball lands into a ball mark, and the weirdest part of the rule is if it's your pitch mark that it goes into, it's fine. How the fuck does that make any sense? How's it gonna be your pitch mark?
Well, if it's like soaking wet and you drive it and it just like plops and gets stuck, that's what they're saying.
Okay, so maybe I had that thought about it a little bit differently. Yeah, so what they're saying is if your ball plugs, you can take it out, obviously. But if it just rolls into a plug that wasn't fixed, like that, game on. Sorry.
It's what I like. Oh my god, I just made this thing. Like I love golf. I got the staples out of my leg yesterday. I can't wait. Rehab. I'm not gonna miss any part of golf season. Like can't wait to play it. I love watching the best players in the world play it. I love I don't know whether it was this COVID-based thing, but it seems like it is as popular as ever. Granted, I am in a small circle that does like golf, both in real life and on the internet. So that's my bubble. But then there are moments where this is as pathetic as like being disqualified for the scorecard, like on a genuine mistake. I think it was our boy Josh Perry tweeting to your Louis Uste, not Louis, the Zach Johnson bullshit. You could put it into a palmetto if you're standing on a sprinkler head to hit your ball that's under a bush. It's a free drop. Like, how you don't get free relief from that. And I don't even mean that. I feel like I've come on this show and say, if you ever land or roll into someone else's divot, you should be able to move your ball. You should be able to get free relief. I know it's as simple. I don't want to make it like, if that happened to me and my buddies would just be like, just move it. Like no one gives a shit. Like you don't have to hit that. I know it's not that, like, it's not that simplistic, but honestly it is. And it's one of those things that's so like, I don't know. It's so little, but it's so much. And it just shows the sport like is so stupid for how great it is still in so many ways. Like Tim being angry, someone's in a hoodie, and me thinking Kevin Kisner's going to win because he's contending in a hoodie.
Kisner chipped and putted his way around that course. Nothing else about his game really stood out. And there he was, just at the very end. How about our guy? Did you see that the Gim Reaper had his name changed on PGAtour.com to Doug Pins, which is a great name. So I think he needs to be called the Pin Reaper from now on. Like, that's a brand new name for him. I was so happy. I was so happy he didn't implode on the final round. I keep wanting to say Sunday, but it's Monday. Because last year he shot the 78 in the final round to really take him out of it. And we can get in the top 5 of the players. That's a good motivation. I love Doug Gim so much. I really hope this works out well for him.
Yeah, and I guess he's officially the players like specialist now, right?
I guess. Like, do we need to be looking him up at every Pete Dye course? Like, is he going to win the Heritage?
I don't know if it's translated to other Pete Dye events, but last year he went off in the final group with JT, I want to say.
He was in the first or second to last group, but he shot a 78 and finished like T33.
Yeah, it was,
so no one
it was
remembers.
horrible.
Yeah.
But he even made a comment after, like, listen, I'm going to learn. I was nervous, and I'm going to learn from today and be better prepared for next time. And I guess here came next time, and he didn't implode. So maybe next time we improve from not imploding and shoot up the board. But yeah, I don't know. He had a great little, I guess I want to say Sunday, where he put it in the water early and bounced back and found himself teeing off late for the final round.
Yeah, well, it was even the same thing with Lahiri in the final round. Once he made that double, I was like, poor guy's cooked. I hope he can get a decent paycheck out of this. But he rebounded. He didn't even play well.
Oh, because they didn't show us the nicest approach of the day to that par 5 where he's got 12 feet for eagle. The network didn't show us it, man.
Well,
it's like, oh, here's Lahiri for eagle, 12 feet.
Does that surprise you at all?
No, because they thought they were done with him. And they were probably happy. We don't need to follow this guy anymore.
Oh, 100%.
Honestly,
100%.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was embarrassing. That's probably the shot of the day at that hole, at least by anybody teeing off in the last hour.
Last thing, in Team Vic versus Team Burger, your guys, who you got?
Vic is such a wagon. It is so incredible. I just got to say that I know what you're talking about, but he gets himself into full-blown contention, and then he's got a wedge in his hand and makes bogey. Like, dude. Oh, was that 12, right? Birdie's 12. Oh, sorry, birdie's 11. 12, he's got 86 yards, lying 1, makes bogey, wedge in your hand. I don't know, ring feels familiar. That being said, other than some big circumstances, hard to imagine how we won't win that. Well, never mind. We'll talk about that. Vic Berger. Yeah, if Vic's opening his mouth, he seems like he wouldn't say anything unless, like, he doesn't give a shit. So, and that's sort of the sentiment around the situation is if Vic is like, you got to agree with the side that Vic is arguing for, because he's as neutral could be in that situation. You know, he's like Jack Tunney.
Speaking of which, R.I.P. Razor. That is the first Scott Hall dying, which he did either late last night or this morning. It's the first wrestling death in a really long time that hit me like, oh my God. Like I loved Razor so much, and now he's gone. He was a lot older than I thought too.
Trying to think the last one that really made you sad and kind of surprised me. Macho.
Yeah, probably Macho.
Macho was messed. Kurt Hennig pissed me off.
Yeah, but that's been like 20 years.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But Scott Hall, one of my absolute favorites ever. Is Patrick Reed here this week? Because, one bad guy going to honor another bad guy.
Patrick Reed is not in the field this week, no. At a tournament where he's played pretty
scarred
well
from
over
that 3-putt?
Maybe. But I want to go back to Berger for a second. Because if you can't do anything about the Casey situation because the rules of golf, all the official said was like, oh, whatever you guys want to do, we'll do. Like, which one is it? Do we have like very strict rules, or is it really open to interpretation? Because that's what it seemed.
Yeah, it's a great point on top of a point. It's so stupid. It's like all you need is common sense. And in many ways, it's a ridiculous comparison, but it's just like talking through Calvin Ridley's suspension versus real life, like scum of the earth suspensions, bad people's. And then you look at like the golf situation. I'm not totally different, but it's like some of it is so stupid when common sense could kind of just scale all of this out perfectly.
All right. Are we done with the players, or do you have anything left to say?
I got nothing left to say. I don't know.
You don't know, or you do have something, you have nothing left to say?
Like I bet on John Rahm. I got nothing left to say.
Okay. Can I get a round of applause from everyone? Slow clap included, because today I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This all-in-one skincare, hair care kit for the everyday man covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now you trust them with the rest, okay? Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code MAYO. That's MAYO, MAYO, in case you can't spell. There, now you know. Manscaped.com, code MAYO for that incredible deal. And we all know how essential Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 is for that precise trim below the waist. And trust me, I know, it looks incredible. My wife can attest to that one too. Their advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts in the most delicate areas. But now, you can enhance your perfect grooming routine with their Ultra Premium Collection. This package includes Manscaped Premium Deodorant, not for your balls, for your stanky armpits. This deodorant dries, clear, and is aluminum-free and smells like their signature scent. Hydrating body moisture. Have tattoos or issues with dry skin? It's designed to keep the skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. Body wash to lather up those infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gels. 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner to clean your scalp in one easy step. Plus, a free gift, a 3-pack set of lip balm that's made with ingredients such as vitamin E, peppermint, and eucalyptus oil to keep those chappers feeling moist. That's 4 products plus a gift inside the Ultra Premium Collection. What a score! All of these products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free, the best ingredients with zero compromise. I'd recommend using the products in this order. Number 1, hop in the shower and scrub and dub that body with the Manscaped Body Wash. 2, lather up your hair with the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. 3, dry and spray the hydrating body moisture to reinvigorate dry skin. 4, put on the Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. 5, pop that Manscaped lip balm on. No one is out here kissing up chapped lips now, are they? No, you need to make that as smooth as possible for mucho action. Correct? Correct. Get dressed, that's optional. I suppose you can do that if you want to. So get 20% off plus free shipping with code MAYO at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping with the code MAYO at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped. Valspar Championship, one of my favorite tournaments of the year. Innisbrook Resort Copperhead course, one of the more challenging courses on the PGA Tour, again, through the Florida swing. So, this stuff, the purse is a bit less than last week, over less than half of what it was, 7.8 million. 7,340 yards is a par 71. So it's actually par adjusted, one of the longer courses on the PGA Tour. I went through the research show. It's funny because even looking back at the players that have done well at the Players Championship have done well at this course over the years. Players that have done well at TPC Southwind have done well at this course over the years. Obviously, Burns won it a year ago. Ended up losing in the playoff to... Who was it? No, Abraham Answer won that event. So, bogey avoidance, drive it pretty well. Paul Casey won this back-to-back years. You don't need to be the greatest putter on earth in order to succeed here because ball striking will really cover up a lot. Remember we had all that coke rack money and then he couldn't get it up and down from like 50 feet and that was the end of him and Paul Casey won? That sucked.
I didn't have that coke rack money, but I remember it fondly, yes.
It's funny because even looking at this is, would you say, well, before we get into it, this is by far the best field that this tournament has ever seen?
I was taken back at how stacked the field was. I thought it would be like Sam Burns versus Corey Connors at the top. Obviously, maybe with one of the young guns, and I'm honestly shocked that Corey Connors didn't even show up.
Yeah, this really does. This was the first time I think we saw Corey Connors break onto the scene. That was the year that Tiger was in the close to final group. Who won?
The Reed 3-putt.
The Reed 3-putt on 18. Casey won. That's how we ended up winning, right?
Yeah, and I actually thought because it was Valspar week technically yesterday that would be good for Casey.
Maybe. Well, let's talk about that before we jump into anything. A couple of these guys just played like 54 holes in 2 days without an extra day off going to the Valspar Championship. Now, some people might say, this is golf. Who fucking cares? But there is, physically, yeah, some guys are probably exhausted from playing that much golf. But when you're playing for $3 million at the quote-unquote fifth major, there has to be a mental toll that goes on to it as well. Especially like Casey didn't get screwed to the point that lost him the tournament. Maybe not, absolutely gassing on your first hole of the tournament really could have paid dividends as well. There's different points of this tournament where he ended up losing it. But do you think that does take a pretty big toll on him here? Or on the flip side, is it good news for Dustin Johnson that he had a really great round on Monday and he parlays that into this week? I really don't know how to gauge it. Like Xander and Morikawa missing the cut. Is that a good thing for them?
So as we do this show every week, Pat, we joke with each other that to make a bet, to not make a bet, you've always got to find a way to talk yourself into it, out of it. I'm sure there'll be a ton of hypocrisy in that regard. You'll take one player, you can laugh at me. I've bet Russell Knox this week at 70-1. I'm like, I don't know, play great, course fits him. Long week. I just want a ton of money. This winning score fits what he can do. It's probably the only reason he contended last week, because the winning score fits what he's capable of. But then there'll be another player who you'll probably bring up in the next 45 minutes. I'll be like, I'm not betting him. I think he's tired. But then there's a player, who already seems like he's showing up on everybody's card, Matthew Fitzpatrick, who I think there's a strong case to be like, to your Morikawa and whoever else you mentioned, miss the weekend. What a ideal situation, a few extra days rest, perfect. Like, that's an ideal gambling spot. So you take the player you like or you don't like, and you work into the narrative you want for how you want to bet. It's honestly the truth of it. I'm not going to phony that up.
Well, let's talk about the favorites in this tournament, because we got a couple big name players, and it depends on where you look, but I am looking at DraftKingsSportsbook.com, as should you, and there are co-favorites for this tournament. Hovland and JT are both 10-1. Morikawa and Xander, both 14-1. Casey and Louis, both 16-1. Burns and DJ are both 18-1. Normally, we do like 0-30, but I think we can cap this at 0-20 right now, because we have 6 names to talk about. I would feel the most comfortable with Justin Thomas at 10-1. I just don't think that I'm going to end up getting there. And I've seen worse numbers and better numbers on a lot of these guys. Like, you can find Xander down. What's the best number I'm seeing at Xander right
20?
now? 20 is the best number I'm seeing at Xander. 18 does appear to be the market best on Dustin Johnson at the moment. It opened at 22 or 20 last night and immediately got beat down inside of 20-1. I mean, Dustin's played this tournament before. He tends to play it a bunch. He's never won it, obviously, but he was very much in the mix in that Kokrak Casey year. Sung Jae and Bubba, I think, were the other guys at the top of the leaderboard 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because this is one of the ones that got canceled in 2020. But DJ seems pretty good, right? Like, do you think you'll get to him?
I would tell you DJ is probably the only guy under 20-1 that I would consider betting. Like you said, there's 18-1. You saw how he plays last week. Don't think I am going to get to it, but that would be it for me. Victor, again, he shows up. He's just a freaking little wizard.
Victor showed up at this tournament last year too, and it's really become a thing that if he doesn't hit the green in regulation, it's probably a bogey. Fortunately, he's like the best at hitting greens in regulation, so that's a bonus, and he can score on any tough course. But
yeah.
I mean,
and he's the best probably at bounce back. Like, he'll make a bogey, but the next hole he's gonna have a 9-footer or 13-footer for birdie, and you hope he makes it. But he just gets more opportunities than anybody.
Just even looking at his numbers from last week, and I know they're a bit skewed because, one half got completely wiped out, so it's going to inflate your numbers. But ball striking wise, between off the tee and approach, he gained over 14 strokes on the field, and then bled back almost 6 chipping and putting. Not great.
Kind of goes to my point. May as well just bet him to win by a field goal.
Yeah, like when it all works, it's going to work. He was third in his debut at this tournament last year. Ball striking was good, gained 4 strokes on the green, actually gained strokes chipping, so you can at least say he's done it at this course before, that if he's not going to be putting it in the bunker and making an 8 out of it, that he probably should be good. I mean, his performance is coming in 9th, 2nd, 4th. He's, I don't even want to say trending in the right direction. He's just playing amazing golf at the moment. But there's something about him that just kind of scares me when it comes to winning. And I know that he's won like 4 times in the past year. This is just a big boy field and it's a big boy course too. And I don't think anyone really considers it that way.
Well, you haven't mentioned the ultimate factor, Pat.
Which is?
He's cussed it.
That is true. He is cuss one and done for the week. At least Louis made the cut. That's better than we can say about our one and done picks last week.
And here's the thing about it as well, Pat. Tim is like, he's ended some incredible runs of golf already this year with his one and dones. Like, I don't have it factually in front of me, but he's ended like Im's cut streak. Like, he has slayed some dragons in the wrong direction this year. And like you said, Vic's last like 12 starts, like 7 top 10s, 3 wins, something stupid. Tim, like, I don't think it's going to happen, but if there's a force powerful enough to whoa, stop the clock, it's the Ander curse.
Breaking news. Henrik Stenson was named the Ryder Cup captain for Italy. He's in the field this week, too.
Yeah, not surprised. To my understanding, it came down to Stenson or Donald, and wouldn't seniority go to the guy with the major?
Yeah, a FedEx Cup win, a Players' Championship, a Major Championship. It's funny we talk about those weather splits because that is the most pronounced I can remember in recent memory of one side of the wave getting completely wiped out at the Open Championship was the Stenson and Phil year. There was like 5 guys in like a weird window that actually had good weather, and they were the only guys not like 20 over par.
And it's also really going to be an era of captain that we're like hyper... Like, obviously, we're hyper familiar with Davis Love, Freddie Couples, but just guys that were more like we saw their careers, like all of it in some respects. If they're on Stenson at this moment and the Americans are on Johnson, like the captains aren't going in a different direction. They're only getting exponentially more familiar to us.
Yeah, Jeff, it's called We're Getting Old.
I'm so old.
This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen pretty soon. And when do you think we see Phil again? He's playing the Masters, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel like we've spoken about this. I think it's his happiest place on earth. They can shield you in the same way they protected Tiger out of his sex scandal. There's just no way Phil isn't gonna go to a place that makes him as happy as that place can, and a place that can protect him. If he doesn't want to talk to the media, doesn't have to. They'll cater to him and what he wants to happen, and they'll make that happen. So I would be totally shocked if he's not there. Then this like break is in a whole different place than I thought. This little sabbatical PR thing. If he's not there, to me, he's legitimately suspended, like Michael Jordan style.
Looking at the board and these sub 20 to 1s that we just talked about, if you like any of those guys, probably outside of Dustin, because I can see him getting a lot of steam, that if you just wait at DraftKings Sportsbook 9 hours, 10 hours, you're likely to get a better number on Xander, Louis, and Burns, because I'm seeing them as deep as 25 to 1 on some other places. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. You don't need to go rush to make any of these bets right now. Would you say that's fair outside of Dustin if you want that 18?
Yeah, I'd say the top of those top 3 are probably still developing. And Dustin's the guy that tied or set a course record yesterday, and he's Dustin Johnson. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you said that Dustin is probably the only one that interests you from below 20 to 1. I'm on board with you. I don't see myself getting to any of these guys.
Yeah, I'm just not there. I don't know. I think I lost a lot last week, Pat.
I gotta say, I checked my DraftKings account, and it turned out that DraftKings was very good to your boy Pat Mayo.
Yeah. Well,
after most of the week, it told me I was winning $0. I checked back in on Monday afternoon. It's like, oh, you're up like $2,000. This is great. Thanks, Cam.
All right, there it is.
Thanks, Cam Smith.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes one lineup to really help you through. I ended up coming like 18th in the $5, and I was like, here we go. This is fantastic news. Thanks to Adam Hadwin for a nice run on Sunday. Thanks to Noren for a nice Sunday. It usually goes the opposite for me. I'm in it, and my guys tank on Sunday. This way I was out of it. My guys played well on Sunday, and I moved up the leaderboard. So there we go.
There's different paths to that victory, buddy.
Mid-range at the Valspar, we're looking at Hatton, Fitz, Kokrak, Lowry, Brooks, Answer. All those guys are in this mini pocket of like 20 to 40 on DraftKings Sportsbook. The best Kokrak number I've seen is 40 to 1. I think I'm going to take that. I think that's where I'm going to start. The biggest like plot I had in my head here was Kokrak and Lowry were the two that really stuck out to me as the ones I probably want to hit on this week. Because even when you look at the past winners of this event, outside of Hadwin, who we did hit, I think that was the year you were off the show, by the way. I think that was Cam and I had that one. And he won at 100 to 1. The other winners of this event have been between like 20 and 50 every single year.
I can see how that works. Well, you got in those Casey and Burns and makes sense, I guess. And that was a Spieth.
Schwartzel was another one. Spieth was another one. That was pre Spieth though. I'm pretty sure. Like pure pre Spieth being Spieth. I think he was one of the favorites.
And did Reed win here also and have like a second place?
No, he lost. He lost in the playoff to Spieth and Sean O'Hare the year that Spieth won. Then he lost to Casey.
Yeah, so we lost in a playoff and 3-putted on the 18th. Okay.
Correct.
So I wish he was here this week, Pat. I wish he was here.
I'm seeing a Casey at 25-1. Like, is it too, like, do we think it's too much?
He withdrew.
Oh, he withdrew. I didn't even see that. When did that happen?
Very recently.
Like, as we started the show?
I believe so.
There we go. Okay. Good news. I saw Munoz withdrew. That was the only one I was really paying attention to.
Yeah, Casey's out, so some boards, I guess, still have that. I don't know that that's going to affect, but I guess that could mean the Johnson number is not going to get any better, potentially.
Let's see. Joaquin Niemann is out. I didn't even think he was in the field to begin with, so that's helpful. Let's see. Kiradesh played himself into the field. That's always nice. Pendrith is out. Smotherman is in. Rogers and Snedeker. I still don't see the Casey stuff. Are you sure? Or like you thinking that in your mind?
I did something with Rick just before we spoke.
Is it true, Paul?
I don't know. Is it Rob Bolton?
I did not see if it was or not. I saw that one of them was just reported by PGA Tour like communications. Let's see, I don't see any Paul Casey stuff here yet. I don't see that. Maybe you're correct, but I don't see. Oh yeah, let's see. Paul Casey. Yeah, Paul Casey is out. You're correct.
Okay, listen, I was told by, our buddy Rick, so.
Yeah, I mean, Rick is usually on top of these things more so than me, so. Yeah, I guess Paul Casey is out. Bummer. Although I don't see, like, an official statement about it. I just see, like, people speculating that he's out. I don't know, let's see. Updated field at the PGA Tour. Gim and Casey both withdrew to let in Burgoon and Austin Cook. So, okay. There we go. That's from the official PGA Tour account. You are correct, sir. Nice research on your part. So I guess I'm not betting Paul Casey.
No, it did seem like a nice number on a guy playing well. Yeah, I agree with your Lowry sentiment here. I can tell you Fitzpatrick seems like, people have brought the Brinks trucks to bet him. Saw his numbers already been dropping. I don't know what to make of Brooks, because how do you put this? Waste Management was so good, and I thought Honda was so positive, and it's so easy to write off last week. And there's still some really strong, like Brooks flirting with 30-1, and I can get behind Answer. So those are the guys that I guess you could say I'm looking at in this range. This is where I'm probably going to spend my money. Kokrak at 40 sounds appealing. So at the moment, this is where I'm probably going to make a bet, and I don't mind Abe Answer at all here. Although I'll be honest, I feel like betting Abe Answer at this price, it's like going to a restaurant and just for like a little more money, I can go to like a much nicer restaurant. Does that make any sense?
I am completely with you. I completely understand. It's just like, yeah, but for an extra, what would it be? Like instead of betting a 35-1. I can bet this 25-1. That just feels like a much better bet in my mind.
Yeah, and I can afford it. I can afford to go to that nicer restaurant. That's where I am with Answer, but I'm really tempted, and I like the positive signs despite the ugly part of Sunday, but we could tee it down and just sort of make it into a shot maker's course. I think it works very nice, and the other guys I'm kind of betting, or I feel like I've already bet this week. I know I've already bet deeper, kind of play that same sort of profile. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Brooks this week, to tell you the truth. I liked him at 50 last week, and he's 50-1 Brooks Koepka. That feels like an auto bet, and I think realistically this should be a really nice course for him. If I've been sinking my money into Brooks week after week after week anyway, why wouldn't I do it here?
I also, for the Brooks and the motivation factor, where it's like, yeah, it's the players, he's going to get behind it. At the moment, this could be a really silly thing to say that can backfire. And I don't often put air in his tires. I'm sensing a bit of like evergreen motivation. like the world ranking is dropping. He doesn't like seeing all these younger kids becoming the face of the game. He doesn't like it one bit. Like, as much as it bothers the older guys who are like losing their place, period, in the game, like he does not like any part of this. And I'm sure he's probably ticked off. Like he can laugh off the weekend. Like you saw, him putting it in the water and laughing. And that's, I think, a good sign because he was playing really well and he got waived, right? He had that great little start to the tournament under normal conditions. We're all happy with our 50-1 bet. So 30-1 seems like almost seems like a better bet than the 50 at the Players. Now that you sort of talk about it for a minute, no?
A little bit. I think this course really does play well to what he does well. It's not going to be a minus 25 winner. You're going to have to grind it out. You might end up getting some wind, and this is a very tough course. You manage your way through the snake pit. And I talked about Southwind a little bit too. And, Southwind is a course where Brooks has played exceptionally well over the course of his career. When you go back and look at the leaderboards at this tournament, it's not just like the winner is like a name type guy. Usually the top of the leaderboard is filled with, those were the guys I expected to be there. Very rarely do you get like the weird outlier who just kind of pops up here. Like even like looking at it in retrospect, maybe going in, you're like, wow, Corey Connors is an absolute nobody. What's he doing at T7? Then you look back at it 2 years later, it's like, oh, that actually makes a ton of sense at a course where he would really do well because Team No Putt has kind of done well at this tournament over the years.
Team Canada, Pat, it's a place that I thought I'd lose a ton of money on Corey Connors, and it is a place where I've lost a ton of money, but was so certain. I swear to God, he brought many hunts into this event for us, me specifically, and lost. Graham Dillette over the years. I thought this guy, this was the perfect Graham Dillette track. I think he put a couple in a somewhere bad here with a lead on Sunday.
Now that was the Heritage, the year that Wes Bryan won, I think.
I guarantee if you look at Graham Dillette's Valspar history.
I can go look. You might be right. I just vividly remember that one.
That's so irrelevant. We don't even need to talk about it. But I'm just saying, to your point, and he played this event like at 28-1 when there was that time of Graham Dillette. President's Cup Graham Dillette.
Graham Dillette in 2016 came 5th at the Valspar. He gained over 10 strokes on approach that week and lost over 6 putting.
Yeah. Anyhow, but you're right. That's actually a really good point that if you, in a nutshell, it's not the wild card event that you might perceive it to be in some respects just by looking at that past winner and not just the past winners, the guys that contended with the past winners.
Oh, 100%. And usually those Team No Putt guys don't break through to get the win, but they just end up there. Like outside of the year he went full Keegan. Keegan has done really well at this tournament every year.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I would be potentially looking.
This was also the Henrik Stenson chalk bonanza open, and wouldn't he play horrible or got the shits?
Yeah, he got the shits the week after Mexico. So
at the perfect Henrik Stenson event.
Yeah, so I'm just continuing to look at the prices. As we were talking in real time, my Brooks price dropped from 28 to 33, so that's always nice news. That's something I could probably get behind. But do we want to, do we go back to Burns on a repeat? Because we just saw, it's like the roulette wheel. You have your one spin, you hit it. You keep your money on the same one if you hit it the first time. See if you can cash in again. Casey did it the year before, and now without Casey, he's still going to linger around 25. We know he can putt. Can he do the rest? Who knows? Hatton is coming off back-to-back weeks of gaining over 8 strokes putting, so if his ball striking can pop up, and wouldn't this be a course where we would like Hatton? Like it's kind of a grinder type course?
All very good points. Burns, just how he finished the week, although as I mentioned, just a very strong week. And defending champ, often exhausting one. Could that be one you want to have the conversation about exhausted? Is there anyone you're not betting because you think they're exhausted, or you don't care about that?
I don't care, really. I mean, I could most definitely see it. I think that if you wanted to make that case, I think it's a very compelling case and a reason not to bet someone. And that's all we're really trying to do when we do this show and try to make our bets every week. How can we talk, like you said, how can we talk ourselves into the bet? How can you talk yourselves out of the bet? Because you just put all these guys back to back to back to back to back. You're like, oh, they all look pretty good. I can carve a path where any of these guys win. So what makes you not want to bet it? And if it's exhaustion, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I guess there's a reason. Paul Casey has 3 wins on the PGA Tour in his career. 2 are at this course. He doesn't even want to play this week.
Very well said there.
So what do you make of
Hatton though? Hatton is interesting. 25 to 1. If you're seeing signs of life of the other guy, it kind of feels fair. Kind of feels not fair.
Well,
I guess
he was the one who popped into my mind when you said I could bet answer at like 33, or I could just spend a little bit more money. Hatton would be that answer, wouldn't it?
You're probably right. Fitzpatrick's going to be so much more popular.
Why is everyone in on Fitzpatrick? What is it with Fitzpatrick? Is it just loser Paul Casey? Loser Paul Casey can't win on the PGA Tour. He can win here? Because I know I'm going to get laughed at for my Brooks bet, 100%. And probably people do deserve to laugh at me for continuing to bet Brooks every single time. But don't be the guy who's like, Brooks can't win, lol. And then be like, I'm betting all my money on Matthew Fitzpatrick. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you stare at the winning score. It kind of fits what Fitzpatrick does. You're probably playing off the vibe that he didn't have to play that wraparound double day and a half golf, which could serve him well. I'm just making the case, let alone statistically and profile wise. He does, as they like to say, check a lot of the boxes.
Sure, but what about when the weather got bad last week? I heard Matthew Fitzpatrick would shoot 20 under in bad weather.
But okay, let me ask you this, Patrick. Because the way it's going, from what I've seen and who I've seen tip Fitzpatrick, the number is going to drop. It's going to drop more. If it got to a point where Matthew Fitzpatrick is 25 or 26 to 1 and Xander Schauffele is 20, 22 to 1, who would you rather bet?
Schauffele?
Because that's where this week is going.
Listen, I don't begrudge anyone who wants to bet Matthew Fitzpatrick. I most definitely think he can win. I just don't understand if I'm not there for the Fitzpatrick win, so be it. That's okay. Everyone else can win money and I won't. But if you give me the choice essentially right now between Fitzpatrick and Brooks is at worse odds, like better odds for me to bet, like 100% of the time I'm betting on Brooks. And he might come dead last, but at least I know he can come first.
Yeah, there's that part of it too. And I use Xander as an example. That might be unfair because maybe by dinner time, Louis and Fitzpatrick have the exact same number.
I would rather bet Louis. I'm not going to bet Louis, but I'd rather bet Louis at the same number.
And I don't think I'm betting Louis this week. I didn't wake up excited about him. If you lose a Johnson Louis head to head, if you follow the players, that's probably a good reason. Also, the main reason is I bet Louis at the Honda and I bet him last week. And the last thing I want to get stuck doing right now, Pat, is like be on this Louis outright thing. I don't want to be one of those people.
You don't want to be. There's already one Jeff Ulrich, who is in on the bet Louis every week train. So you don't want to double down on being the second guy in and being the second and not being the second Jeff in on it too.
The Jeff with the G thing. But and it's also to bet Louis. I mean, you felt like you got a break last week betting Louis in the 60s and 50s. To be on the every Louis train is normally going to cost you in the mid 20s to the mid 30s. It seems, 40s are when you feel lucky.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to do Kokrak at 40. That bet has been made. I'm going to bet Brooks at 33 because I'm a loser. And then I'm looking at Lowry and Hatton and Answer. I'll probably take one, maybe two of those guys, and that'll be like my week. Because I don't love what I see from the bottom of the board. Maybe you can talk me into a few guys. I have one from beyond 50 to 1, and that might be good enough for me.
Yeah, and I don't know. I asked you if it was that guy's week at about 7 a.m., and you told me I already bet him. So
First thing I did when I woke up this morning and looked at the odds was bet that guy, and that's where we'll move to. Right now, the 50 to 100 range features our guy, Gary Woodland, 70 to 1. Easy bet. 70 to 1, top 5 each way. Boom, good to go. In.
Yeah, I would say if you see anything close to that right now, you should probably bet it because that's one that is cratering. A lot of people feel this in the same way. That forever we called this the perfect Henrik Stenson event, so it's got to be the perfect Henrik Stenson light event. Gary Woodland, my first correspondence with you today was Woodland week 70 to 1 question mark. You had let me know the bet was in. I have followed suit. So Gary Woodland 70-1 is in. I've also, Pat, been dumb enough, a sucker enough that I mentioned already today. I've bet Russell Knox 75-1. I don't feel great about myself, but he's just gaining those strokes. Putting doesn't seem to be the most important historical putting event. And I'm hoping he can ride that momentum, and it's a winning score that works perfectly for Russell.
I can see it. I mean, almost like I'd rather spend for a little bit of an extra value. I would be, oh my God, Webb Simpson's playing in this event? That eluded me. Apparently he's 70-1 to win this event.
Listen, I made the joke about Patrick Reed asking if he had an amputation, and he played his best golf in forever. So 70-1. You'd wonder if Webb Simpson's had an amputation. Good luck, Webb.
Yeah, I'm seeing 66-1. The Woodland number is still 70 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Everywhere else, you're correct with the withdrawals, and I think that he's become a very popular bet. He's kind of cratering.
Well, he shouldn't be 70.
No, he shouldn't.
Like in this field, he should be closer to your Jason Days and Keegans and Bubba's. That's the tier of golfer he belongs in. Some would argue he shouldn't be half the number. You skipped right over him, but Fleetwood shouldn't be 40. And Woodland, if Fleetwood's 40, Woodland shouldn't be 70.
Well, Fleetwood is 55 at DraftKings Sportsbook. After what he did last week, and the driving and irons were both pretty good last week. Tee to green, he was kind of awesome. Couldn't really make any putts. That's nothing new. Is this finally a number with a bit of life? Like, he and Alex Noren are now the same number, which is kind of crazy to think about.
I like both those players.
You want to bet them both at 55-1?
I don't know which one I would bet or how the card develops, but I'm going to be living in the 30-70 range. I mean, that's essentially going to be where the card is built from.
Okay. Now, the numbers love Noren, and Noren even figured out his driving by the end of the week last week. Didn't really putt all that well, which is really surprising for someone like Alex Noren. Comes in really good form. 6th, 48th, 5th, 26th. One was at the Players. How has he done at this tournament in the past? Valspar, I know he was top 30 last year. Yeah, he was T21 last year in his first ever event. Lost off the tee, lost on approach, gained a bunch putting and chipping. So he seems to be the right profile of guy. You mentioned Hadwin to me. As a former winner here, and whatever his odds are at the moment, that he might be the perfect guy to put $1,000 outright right now and then wait 2 days and cash him out before the tournament starts because the number is going to drop to like 40-1.
Yeah, and sort of in a different level, like in the same way I would expect Dustin to drop 2, 3, 4 points. Hadwin for his Sunday performance, being a past winner, not being a former world #1 major champion like Dustin, but being a past winner and sort of working with that great putter club down event. Like, I could see the numbers on him right now being closer to Keegan Bradley by tomorrow.
Like, if everyone's worried about, because I know Keegan's going to be a popular bet this week, are we concerned that he's burnt out?
I'm not really sure. He's a guy I don't really bet. I didn't really consider it, so I haven't really put much thought into him.
Bubba course
I don't
history?
know. I think a lot of the guys...
People like Bubba this week?
I am more inclined to think the opposite of burnout for guys like that. Like, they feel good. They want to get right back in the batter's box. The short turnaround, probably even better. Now, it's easy for me to say at home. I'm sure, there's treatments involved regularly. But from the outside, I would think all those guys, your Keegans, your Knoxes, if they're playing well in this event, this is where they make some money. This is where their season comes down to. This is the reason they can get into Eastlake, is weeks like piggybacking, this one run of form the whole year gets them to Eastlake. If that makes any sense.
Oh, I'm completely on board with you. Yeah, if you can parlay good momentum into this week, listen, a win's a win no matter where you take it, or a second place finish. You're going to need those points by year's end, so I'm down with it. The only guys besides Woodland, who I already bet from 50 to 100 that I'm giving serious consideration to, Bez. Isn't Bez kind of the perfect type of guy for... I mean, we keep saying this, but Who is it that you mentioned earlier? Yeah, Fitzpatrick. Like, isn't that a Fitzpatrick winning score? Doesn't this feel like a Bez winning score? Like minus 11 or something?
Yeah, no, in the very same way you would like Hadwin. You're like, it's a shorter course. He doesn't need to.
It's not a short course though, because it's 7,300.5 yards. It's only a par 71.
Okay, but you don't, for whatever reason, the course is designed in a way where you don't feel like you need to throttle back on the tee in most cases. And as you've mentioned to me in the past, that's where Bez gets in trouble, where he feels like he's got to throttle back on the tee, get as much as he can out of the tee shot. That apparently, by all accounts, is not the case here. And in the very same way, the road for Hadwin, I see it for Bez. Just, clean, no landmine. You hit 2 putts a day. That's what you do. And you can count on getting a 40-footer from a guy like that. And you hope maybe he sticks one to 5 feet. So, and what I said about Bez, I mean, that's the fun thing about this event. You can make that case for your favorite golfer too, or the guy you want to bet. Like you could think if they could stay within themselves, it's such a easy event to find yourself in a spot late. And that's so much easier said than done, clearly. Because I'm sure once things go sideways for you on this golf course, you just, it all goes sideways. Because golf, all you gotta say is it's golf. But
so besides Woodland, who I bet, the 3 that I have penciled in here, Bez, Webb, and Noren. I feel the strongest about Bez, only because I've been betting him over and over. This just seems like such a deep number for Webb. Like, I can't believe it's this deep. And then you have, like, Kisner there, Tringali. The other good thing about Bez is he didn't play last week. He had the week off.
What's your Noren number?
I'm seeing Noren at 55, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's not a great number.
Maybe it gets bigger as the week goes.
I think he's going to be a popular play. I think that number is going to shrink as the week goes. Because that's 55 everywhere. It's not like there's a lingering 80 that's out there. That's just not happening with him. They've all priced him pretty properly at the same thing.
Yeah.
We done with this range?
Tringali, healthy, maybe? These guys have been so popular in some respects, maybe from more of a DFS perspective. I know we're not people that put him on our outright cards, but it felt like a month ago in this event, he would have been like in the 40s, maybe even the high 30s. Is getting silly. So a withdraw here, and it's double the number for Tringali truthers.
Sure. If you're a Tringali truther, why not? Why not take the shot at the best odds that you've got in a while? This is a very strong field, though.
Also, Varner back here, listen, if the guy putted, wow, what a sad scene. Like, he channeled his inner. I don't know if Zalatoris and Varner had a putt off on Sunday, Monday, who'd have done worse?
It's funny because overall, Varner didn't putt all that poorly for the week. He was right around field average, but it just felt like every time he needed to make a putt to keep himself in it, it just wasn't happening.
Wasn't happening.
Unfortunate. But I think he's worth a look this week, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. What about the Wise Wagon?
Oh, the Wise Wagon. Wise ended up being what, even? He was 3 under on Monday in his final round?
Not going to lie, not a clue how that finished.
That's fair. Yeah. Probably not for me, but he would kind of fit that mold of, you talk about everyone loved Tringali. Everyone loved Wise 2 months ago. And like, man, Wise 35-1. Let's make it happen. Now he's 100-1 again, 130-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now no one wants him. It seems kind of strange.
I wasn't one of those people, but we know a few of them, and I think they're still on them. They'll be committed through Florida. So this could be the last hurrah for a lot of those preseason, that Wise band.
I'm looking at the tee to green leaders from the players from just the overall. And again, it's going to be kind of skewed. You know, Rory was 6th tee to green of any player in the field and lost 4.5 strokes putting.
I did not know that as you're saying it. I don't know. That's Rory. His floor there is lower than a lot of elite players in that regard. But maybe it's just going to come around perfectly for the Grand Slam in, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, it seems
3 weeks?
it's funny because it seems like he's chipping away at different parts of his game where he's not great. And he's pulling that old Sung Jae move of when we look at like the 4 key strokes gained metrics, he's doing 3 of the 4 really well every single week. But the one that's in the negative is so far in the negative that it's taking him out of contention. And that just one of these weeks, it's all going to happen and come together.
You would think so. Yeah, he sort of fell out of sight, out of mind, like one of those many guys made it on the number, but he continued to go backwards.
Until Sunday, and he was like 6 under. Or Monday. Stupid tournament. 100 to 1s. Is there anyone that you see from up here outside of Aaron Wise? Like, are you a Mito guy? You a Lanto guy? They're both coming in here. Streelman made a nice run in the 3rd round, but couldn't do it in the 4th round. My guy Damon is still at 140 to 1. Bernd Wiesberger is playing in this event. He's an alternate for the match play right now, which means he'll probably end up getting in because 2 or 3 people won't play. But a nice performance here guarantees him a spot in the match play.
So obviously I'm not really into much. Haven't certainly fired on anybody. If you feel like Molinari's coming around, this kind of the place that could work for him, but that's not a bet I'm running to make.
That's a good call. I hadn't even really thought about Molinari. Outside of his like one great round, like did everything he do with the players just happen in that one round and that was it for him?
I'm not sure, Pat.
He came 42nd, so.
Adam Svensson?
I mean, Team No Putt. Team Canada, that checks out. That checks a lot of the boxes here.
Yeah, the Canada no putt box. I'll just got to bring it up because, his name was I know you liked him. I always like him. We always like him. Willett was a big popular at Bay Hill. Now he's falling farther down the board here.
Sure. Yeah, he's a name. Are you going to bet any of these guys?
I honestly don't believe I will, Pat. I don't believe I will.
That's fair. I'm looking at the numbers past 24 rounds in the custom modeling. I did this on the research show, but now they have updated players odds. And if you want to do it, fantasynational.com/Mayo to build everything that you got. Your boy Knox ranks 4th of the past 24 rounds. Cam Percy ranks 5th. That's always fun news. Norin is 6th. Victor's the best. Laird is actually 2nd here. What the hell is going on with Laird? Every single week he pops up in the stats models, but I just don't see the results come along with it. Like, his best performance this year is a T14. Yet somehow he is just, -6 putting, -4 putting. I guess that would be it. Maybe he's the ultimate team no-putt guy this week. How has he played at Valspar? He's missed the cut the past 4 times that he's played it. Just so weird to see him pop up in all these numbers.
What's his number?
I don't know. I didn't even see him. Laird is, oh no, that's Webb again. Laird is 150 to 1. Maybe it's a first round leader play on this.
I'm not going to talk you out of it.
I mean, I'm not necessarily on it. I was just surprised to see it. Nick Taylor's playing a lot better golf too. Talking about Canadians who can't putt but sometimes can putt. 14th at Pebble, 16th at Honda, 32nd at API. Wasn't invited to the players, but he drives the ball pretty well. If the irons get going, he could be okay. He's super deep down the board. I think he's like 200 to 1. Yeah, 150 to 1 actually for him as well. Yeah, Willett's 160. Not a ton that I love here. Was Lipsky the one that we were looking at earlier? No, it was Aaron Rye was the one who was playing a little bit better. Kurt Kitayama just got in the field too. Maybe we roll him back after his strong Honda performance.
Yeah, he got somebody's spot. Is Aaron Rye here?
No, he's not.
That could have had my interests.
This is a spot where we would have loved Matt Wallace a year ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Malnati still putt fantastically?
I assume that's what he did last week. I mean, he made that putt to make the cut, although it didn't actually matter when he made by the time it was all over because QAnon Scott Piercy ended up with the what was it, the Q bogey. Someone said that was the big thing that was standing behind him as he was walking off the 17th hole. Q bogey. I was like, all right, here we go. Oh yeah, Malnati killed it on approach and putting last week and couldn't drive the ball for shit. Again, like just looking back at the winners of this course, outside of the Hadwin at 100-1, I think that was like a community win at 100-1, and that was back before golf lines were as sharp as they are now. Like when you want to say like a player was trending towards a win, he was trending towards a win at that time. And although he's playing a lot better right now, I wouldn't say that he's trending towards a win at the moment. And you're getting worse odds on him. Like his realistic odds that week should have been like 40-1 instead of 100-1. Now you're getting it like 50, 65-1, something like that. So I'm not really seeing it with anyone up there. And generally speaking, like I said, it's that 20 to 50 range, maybe 20 to 60 range that's paid the most dividends, and it's generally been really good ball strikers. So I think that's just the path that we need to go down this week. If I just look at overall ball striking over the past 24 rounds, if that's just as simple as we want to make it, Hovland, Keegan, Knox, Thomas, Cam Percy are your top 5. Casey withdrew. Fitzpatrick, Lowry, Wise, Vegas, Laird, Xander, Kazire, Callum Tarrant, Hayden Buckley, Austin Smotherman, Kramer Hickok, Bubba Watson, Colin Morikawa, and Alex Noren, and Lonto Griffin. Lonto is 100-1, by the way. That's a pretty good number.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. That was an interesting list of players. Also, never mind.
What? Why do you keep saying things and then saying never mind? Just say what you got to say.
I don't know. My friends get mad at me. I do that too, but I just don't want to get into it because it's so irrelevant. But all day, the day we had the double like rounds where guys were playing like just so much freaking golf, I guess that would have been Sunday. These same like 2-3 kids standing behind the 4th hole asking for a ball like all day.
They're kids.
No, but you gotta go to the end of the round. You gotta go to the end of the round. You want the ball, you go to the 9, you go to the 18, wherever the end of the round is. They got places for the kids. Dad, just find a guy, bring your own freaking Swixen from home, find a guy in a Titleist hat and tell your kid it's Hayden Buckley and have him just toss him the ball to shut them up.
I am adding, after going through that list of the top ball strikers, I think I am going to add Kramer Hickok. That's a pretty deep number for him.
What was the number?
Kramer is down at, that's Kelly Craft, sorry. Kramer Hickok, I can get it at 200-1 right now. If I check my other book, Kramer Hickok is, they only do last names, so Hickok is, 200-1. 200-1 on Kramer Hickok. He's played some good Florida golf. He's made a run at the Honda before. And if his ball striking's actually going to be good, why not? Good Bermuda putter, too, by the way. So I'm going to throw in
Seems like a really good number on a guy whose name has like been quasi showing up a couple times lately.
That guy's getting,
I don't know,
Hickok's getting a first-round leader bet, 100%.
I don't know that. Like, I'm just so focused on that 25 to like 75-1. Like,
as you should be.
My full card from there.
As you should be. But of all the ball strikers outside of Cam Percy, who legit can't putt, we have Kramer Hickok as the only long shot that is really on it anyway. But Percy will probably be an FRL in the off chance, and that Callum Tarrant guy, maybe put him in it. He's I'm talking about first round leader at the moment. Just see if I can get some FRL action in on some of these losers. Maybe they have one good round of putting in them. Who knows? All right, let's do the quick picks for the Valspar Championship. So far, I have bet Brooks at 33, Kokrak at 40, Woodland at 70 with the each way, and now Kramer Hickok at 200 with the each way as well. From that tier that you were talking about, like the 20 to 70, 20 to 50, I'm probably going to cut down to one or two of Lowry, Hatton, or Answer at their number. They're all 25 to 35-1 at the moment. And then from that, like 50 to 100, I was looking at Bez, Webb, and Noren. Webb would just be a blind bet on the talent that is Webb Simpson being underpriced, and maybe he's healthy right now. Doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I've made much worse bets in my life. And then Bez at 66 just had the off week, difficult course, a lot of scrambling, a lot of putting. And like you mentioned, it's not going to be Bez needing to drive the ball 330 yards. He can try to hit his fairways or at least leave himself in, hit his normal iron week, and hopefully he can finally get that hot putter going that we haven't seen all year. Lonto would be the other one at 100-1 in triple digits that I think that I may end up on. So there was him, and there was Molinari as well, who you mentioned, who I want to give a deeper dive to, but I'll be back tomorrow on the DraftKings show, and maybe those guys are best left for the DraftKings show versus outright betting, but we'll see. We'll see how that ends up going. What are you looking at?
So the bets I've made are Woodland 70, Knox at 75. The bets that I do like, a lot of them similar in that 25 to 50 to 1 range, closer to the top. It's Lowry, it's Brooks, it's Answer. I expect to dabble in that. Maybe if I get like good Burns vibes, a 25 doesn't feel wrong. We'll say that. Farther back, we've been riding this Bez thing, so I'm gonna triple take that. And I know I said I was stopping in front of 75. There's 80s on Varner, and I don't know, couldn't hit a putt, but seemed like the guy had a 9-footer for birdie every time. Outside of missing those putts and getting to the 17 on his first round and exploding. He had an exquisite week. So 80 to 1 in this setup with this form off a win that's not really getting much credit. He's even had to make comments like he's taken actually a lot of because of where he won, he's actually taken a lot of negative like he's not like winning coming with negative comments, like the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, so that seems strong. Also, I said it on Twitter, Varner rocking a Players Championship merch tent pullover for 3 days. That's essentially a make good on his Saudi flirtations to the tour. He was on TV a lot too. So that's essentially a make good on whatever punishment, fine, probably nothing, just high five for the boys or for Jay in the back. But yeah, that's that. We're even now. If they're looking for supplementary punishment, Varner's even. Consider it even, square.
Hickok is 250 to 1 in DraftKings Sportsbook. I just went and looked. So you can get on that if you want to. One and done picks for the week. Already mentioned the most cursed man of the week. Victor Hovland, as if he needed it around the greens. He might take an 11 or something out of a bunker. Something crazy like that. Now that the Ander curse is on him. I think we both missed the cut last week. Morikawa missed the cut for me. What are you thinking for your one and done?
What was my one and done last week?
I don't remember.
I took Rahm. I wasted Rahm.
You wasted Rahm. At least he made the cut, so that would mean you're okay to make your pick here. I have mine ready if you want me to pick first.
Sure, I think I'm going down the board, so
okay. I'm taking Kokrak.
All right, good for you. I'm getting freaky. Even though we talked about how the good players win here or contend, I'm taking Knox.
Man, Knox is a stretch when you use him at like the American Express where there's only jabronis in the field.
Yeah, that's probably really dumb. You know what? I'm going to take that back. I can use Knox in like big men tournament where if he actually does something, I'll make a real gain. Unlike versus my friends. Shane Lowry. Let's ride that form. Florida's been great to him.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up betting Lowry as well. Lowry versus Hatton. I'll probably scratch Answer off the list. Although, thinking about that Southwind crossover, and maybe Answer is the play here, and I get him at a better number. Who knows? Tune in Wednesday night in the newsletter to find out who I end up betting and who I end up not betting. Check out the March Madness show, too. I had Raza and Cust on, Jeff. You know who knows less than I do about college basketball? Tim Andercuss, because he knows nothing, yet thinks he knows a ton.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I didn't want to put down, like, I was going to make a smarmy tweet on a piece of your content. I'm like, Tim going out doing a bracket response piece, like, he literally just thinks he's an expert at everything. Like,
I asked him to name 5 college basketball players, and he could not. Not that I can, but at least I was very open about that.
What's he more qualified, honestly, Pat, for college basketball or the Olympics?
Oh.
Because he says he's an Olympic expert, like an expert, and then he'll ask questions like, are poles important for cross-country skiing?
No, I think I can do that one pretty easily without the poles. All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I'll be back on Wednesday morning with DraftKings picks for the Valspar Championship. Remember to smash the like button to the episode. Follow Jeff on Twitter at gfienberg17. Sub to that newsletter and sub to Mayo Media Network, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get your 20% off. As always, we've got the Masters coming up. So get yourself acclimated with the system right now so you can go do that, okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!